Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a social toolkit that is literally going to change how you see the Japanese language. You see, learning Japanese isn't just about memorizing endless vocabulary lists or mastering those tricky writing systems. It's actually about learning a completely new way of interacting with the people around you. So think about it. How much of a language is actually spoken out loud? If you're a beginner studying Japanese, you'll probably find that the biggest surprise isn't the complex grammar. No, it's the unspoken social rules. It's all those little things that aren't exactly printed in your textbook dialogues, but are absolutely crucial if you want to sound natural. And that brings us to the core thesis of this explainer. Japanese communication happens between the words. It's carried through hesitation, through the subtle tone of your voice, through tiny filler phrases, and, surprisingly, through active listening. These unspoken elements are just as important as the actual words you choose to say out loud. Okay, let's dive right into our roadmap. We'll be covering the space between words, inviting with negative questions, the magic of Chotto, active listening, and finally, navigating pronouns and particles. And to make this super clear, we're going to anchor all of this in a totally everyday workplace scenario. Section 1, the space between words. Let's set the scene. Picture this. It's the end of a long day at the office, and a group of coworkers are trying to figure out who's going out tonight. One of the coworkers, Miss Honda, looks over at her colleague, Mr. Smith, and extends an invitation. She simply says, Ikimasen. Notice how incredibly smoothly she navigates this social interaction. She isn't demanding, she's not putting him on the spot with some heavy expectation. She is suggesting it in a very specific, culturally nuanced way. Section 2, inviting with negative questions, softening the ask. Now, in direct English, we usually ask positive questions, right? Things like, do you want to come or shall we eat? But the Japanese approach relies heavily on gentle negative questions like Tabemasen, which literally means, won't you eat? And here is the catch that constantly trips up beginners. Answering these negative questions makes yes and no feel completely swapped. If you are declining and you agree that you won't eat, you literally say, yes, I won't. You're agreeing with the negative reality of the statement. It completely flips English logic. So let's look at the mechanics. The grammar here hinges entirely on the negative form. In polite company, you take that masen ending and add the question marker, ka, for a gentle suggestion. But if you're casually hanging out with friends, you'd use the plain form, nai, like ikanai or won't you go? And it's not just for invitations either. Negative questions are a brilliant way to express a guess or an assumption. Instead of a simple yes or no, like is it cold, asking samakunai, isn't it cold, shows that you assume they're feeling the exact same chill that you are. It builds instant rapport. Section 3, the magic of Chotto. The ultimate social softener. So, back to our scenario. How do you answer if you actually can't go? Well, you use a word that literally translates to a little bit. Chotto. It is the ultimate social softener. You see, in Japan, avoiding direct confrontation or awkwardness is highly, highly valued. A blunt no to an invitation, that can actually come across as quite rude. Instead, our guy Mr. Smith uses the Chotto technique. Step 1, you say, yeah, slowly, with a genuinely apologetic look on your face. Step 2, you drag out those vowels. You say, kyou wa chotto. And step 3, you literally just let the sentence hang in the air. The awkward silence does the rejecting for you. Those elongated vowels signal hesitation and genuine regret, and the other person understands your meaning immediately. The sheer versatility of Chotto is incredible. You can use it to get someone's attention, like a quick, excuse me. You use it to be modest when you're accepting a gift. You use it to soften a favor you're asking for, or even to soften a blunt, I don't know. Mastering this one single word is going to make you sound infinitely more natural in Japanese. Section 4, Aizuchi. Active listening, or participating without speaking. So what does Mrs. Honda do while she's listening to this refusal? She uses Aizuchi. In English-speaking cultures, we often show respect by sitting quietly and letting the other person hold the floor. But in Japan, sitting completely quietly, that's often seen as disengaged, maybe even a bit rude. You must actively participate in the listening process by giving constant feedback, nodding, reacting, and using short verbal cues to show that you are right there with them. And you have an entire toolkit for this. A simple hi or a means I'm listening, go on. An means something just clicked for you. In our workplace scenario, Miss Honda uses so desu ka, which means I see. As soon as Mr. Smith trails off with his Chotto, she smoothly replies, so desu ka. Ja, mata. She gracefully accepts his polite refusal without skipping a single beat. But hey, here's a crucial warning for beginners. The Japanese nod means I am listening. It does not necessarily mean I agree. Please, do not confuse cultural listening cues with actual agreement. Otherwise, you might find yourself accidentally agreeing to work the whole weekend just because you were trying to be polite. Often, they are just smiling, nodding, and using Aizuchi to make the conversation feel smooth and connected. Section 5. Navigating pronouns and particles, asserting your position. Okay, the conversation isn't over yet. Miss Honda now turns to another coworker, Mr. Yamada, to see if he wants to join. Before we hear his response, we need to quickly navigate pronouns. As a beginner, watashi is absolutely your safest bet for referring to yourself. But the trick is, don't overuse it. Japanese naturally drops the subject entirely when the context is clear. And when you're talking to others, always default to their last name plus san. Avoid using direct words for you like anata if you already know their name, because it can actually sound a little cold. We also really need to understand sentence endings. Take the particle ne. It's used when you assume you and the listener share the exact same information or feeling, kind of like saying right at the end of a sentence. Yo, on the other hand, asserts new information. It tells the listener, hey, I am assuring you of this fact. Just a heads up, using yo bluntly with the boss can sound disrespectful because it can imply that you're correcting them. And this brilliantly illustrates how Mr. Yamada confirms he's going. He looks at Mrs. Honda and says, Watashi wa ikimasen. Because she genuinely didn't know if he was coming or not, he uses watashi to clarify he is definitely talking about himself, and he uses that particle yo, really emphasizing it vocally, to give her the brand new assurance she was looking for. Yes, I'm absolutely going. So, as you can see, learning what to say in Japanese is really only half the battle. Knowing how to say it is what makes all the difference. Master the gentle rhythm of those negative questions and know exactly when to use the polite masen versus the casual nai. Master the absolute softening power of chotto. Practice your active listening. Ganbatte kudasai. Keep going. These are the skills that will truly make you comfortable and confident talking to native speakers. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Think about Aizuchi. Even if you aren't speaking a word of Japanese tomorrow, how will you change your own active listening habits in your very next conversation? Are you really showing the other person that you are fully engaged? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope you feel super empowered to start reading between the lines.